Okay, another GA4 presentation for you guys. What a treat. I'm sure you're all thrilled. I'm going to go through the top explorations in GA4 that will provide SEO value. And when I mean SEO value, what I'm talking about is looking at ways to improve user engagement, looking at ways to improve the user experience, opportunities to optimize for conversion rate, and having a look at things that can improve accessibility or things that can be done to improve things from an accessibility point of view. But first, a little bit about me. I've been working on GA4 since 2020 when Google released the information that GA4 was going to be the default property for analytics. Going forward, I thought, oh, this looks like a nice opportunity to dabble in to something, and here I am. I've done over 100 site migrations from Universal Analytics to Google Analytics 4, and that number, despite all the emails from Google, that number is still going up. My favorite film is Ghostbusters. I think it's the greatest film ever made, and anybody who disagrees with me is wrong. So it's got everything in it. I live in the Orkney Islands, and there's a reason I mention that. One, because I moved there last year. I made the decision to move there. I think it's quite cool. There's three things I want to mention about the Orkney Islands. Number one, it's quite dark and windy in the winter. You get about 20 hours worth of, or the other way around, you get about 4 hours worth of daylight in the winter, and you get winds up to about 150 miles an hour. So I've had a lot of opportunity to get involved in GA4. The other thing is there's a bit of a scarcity in terms of hairdressers, hence this. Although I don't really have an excuse because there's my picture as well. And if you are going to Google where the Orkney Islands is, you will discover there is a place called that. I do not live there. I live in a different town. Fun fact about that sign, they've now removed it because tourists kept coming up and stealing that sign. And I think it was number 2 on the budget line of Orkney Islands Council as replacing that sign. So let's get involved in some GA4 then. My first exploration is an exploration that looks at views and exits for pages. There is no exit rate yet in GA4. Hopefully they'll release that. And this is what it looks like. For anybody who's interested, this is my next door neighbor's website. She's very nice to me, and she lets me use her GA4 for creating things. So yeah, what I've done here is this is a freeform exploration. I've used a heat map as well, just to illuminate potentially where there are some pages where you see a higher than normal exit. It might illuminate to you that actually there's some potential issues on that page. Could be page speed loading, could be that the information isn't right, that kind of thing. So that's a freeform, and it looks like that. Another thing you'll notice or learn about me is that my design skills are terrible. So this is exactly what you're going to see throughout this presentation is this kind of format. So the dimensions I've used are page path and screen class. You could use page location if you wanted to. And then the metrics I've used are views and exits. You could also include entrances, which might help give you some additional insight. Again, other things you can add, you could add in a filter to sort of filter it specifically for organic search if you really wanted to hone in on a sort of an SEO perspective. The next one for me, something we all used to know and love and find quite easy in Universal Analytics, is device category. So it looks like that for me in an exploration. So I've added in landing page and query string as the rows. And then across the top, I've added in device category as the columns. And the metrics I've used are sessions and sessions conversion rate. So really, I'd expect to see a similar conversion rate for each landing page across mobile and desktop. If that's not the case, then maybe there's an issue with how those pages are appearing from a mobile perspective. And again, I've used a heat map to kind of highlight or pinpoint some areas where there might be some issues. So that's device category. So again, I've used landing page and device category, landing page as the row and device category as the column. And the metrics I've used is sessions and session conversion rate. But again, you can add in different metrics and dimensions that you find valuable. The next one, and I know the 404 report was discussed in the last GA4, but this one, rather than being in the report section, this is in explorations. It looks like this. So what I've done here is I've brought in page path plus query string, and I've included session source medium, because I think oftentimes, for me particularly, like if you've got Google CPC as the session source medium, then there's something clearly wrong. There's a wrong link there. Same goes for if you've got, a session source medium of organic search. For me, if it's direct none, I'd probably take that with a pinch of salt. Maybe people are just genuinely typing in the wrong thing. But for Selena, my neighbor, clearly she's got an issue with her kelp collection. So she maybe needs to think about finding out where those links are or redirecting them so they don't become 404s. And that's what I've done. In the dimensions, I've brought in page path and query string. I've included session source medium as well, and page title. But you don't see page title in the report, because what I've used page title as the filter. And you'll have to, each website will be different for this, but for my next door neighbors, when her 404 results in a page title that contains is 404 not found, so that's the filter I've used. Every website might be different. It might just say page not found, for example. Or it might be something completely different, which you're going to have a bad time if it doesn't say it in the page title. The metrics I've used are, I can use views and views per session or views per user. I like to use that views per session and views per user because it might illuminate to me that there are some issues with where people are finding those links, and maybe that's the ones I need to focus on. Okay. Again, I think the previous talk mentioned search terms, but I want to bring this up in explorations as well. I've used search term and event count using a heat map, and it's ordered there by top to bottom. Can you tell she's a jeweler in Scotland if Highland Cow is the second search term? And that's a really simple one to make, actually. So the dimensions I've used is search term and event name, and the metric I've used is event count. In the dimensions, you could also, I think, include page path, because that might help you to understand, actually, if people are searching for a particular term and they're searching for it from a particular page, page referrer might work as well, then that might say to you, okay, people are looking for something on that page, they're not finding it, so there's maybe something we should do on that particular page. And then I filtered using the event name exactly matches view underscore search underscore results, which is the event name from enhanced measurements. If you're utilizing a different approach, maybe using Google Tag Manager, then your event name might be something different. So that's my search terms exploration there. And you might think that Amethyst, actually, she doesn't actually have any Amethyst collections, but if you added session default channel group, that might help understand why that's coming from. And that was actually coming from a Performance Max campaign, where clearly they were targeting the wrong user and the wrong kind of keywords there. So maybe there's a conversation to be had with her Google Ads agency to say, actually, you're sending a lot of people to the site and they're looking for something that doesn't exist on her site. So lots of different dimensions you can add. Scroll data. So scroll data is an enhanced measurement, but it only tracks when somebody gets to 90% or lower in terms of the page. So what I've done with this one, I've actually gone back to my old Universal Analytics days, and I've created a scroll event in Google Tag Manager using the percent scrolled as a parameter, which I've then added in as a custom dimension. And then I've added those across the top in terms of columns, and added page path and screen class as a row, and then used event count as the metric. And this helps, I think, illuminate, you could add scroll data to your views and exits, and it will maybe say to you, actually, there's clearly something wrong with this page. People aren't digesting the information in the way I expected, and then they're leaving. What are they expecting to see, and what are we presenting? And that looks like that. So if you are using or maintaining the event name that is created in enhanced measurements. I filtered by the event name exactly matches scroll. The metric I'm using is event count, and the dimensions I've got there are percent scrolled, which is a custom dimension I've brought in, and page path and screen class. Accessibility is something else I think we could spend a lot of time talking about. And for this one, what I've looked at, and here's one issue with GA4. I mean, it looks terrible as a visualization. But what I've done here is I've brought in every time that the link text for file downloads, this is using an enhanced measurement. For every time the link text contains something without information, so like click here or now, that kind of thing, which isn't great for accessibility for people with screen readers, and it isn't great from an SEO perspective. So we can see here lots of opportunities where we can go in and amend those link texts to provide more information about where they're going to. This is just for file downloads. You could create one in Google Tag Manager for external clicks, where you could use link text to give you that information as well. Just bear in mind, it's something I tend to tell clients, that if you are using that external link, that sort of link text for your external link clicks, and you've got emails on your website, you might fall foul of personally identifiable information, so there's maybe something to think about there. But that's what that report looks like. So I've used page path, file name, and link text. And then the metric I've used as event count, because I just want to see the amount of times that particular event has happened. And then I've got a priority there by highest to lowest. And then the event name exactly matches file download, which is the name of the event that's an enhanced measurement. And then the link text matches, or you could use regex for any kind of example you've got where it's probably not the best type of link text you've got. So click here, here, now, that kind of thing. So a nice one from an accessibility point of view. The next one for me is difference in organic channels. And it may come as a surprise to a lot of people, but there are other channels other than Google. I believe there's one called Bing, and you might be wondering why I've sort of mentioned this, why I've created this as a chart. But actually, I find with a lot of my clients that they're SaaS, they're B2B, a lot of their conversions, and actually a lot of their conversions that then turn into actual sales, start at Bing. Because if you think about it, there may be users who are at a computer desk in their office, and they tend to have Edge as their default browser. So a lot of my clients are finding it quite lucrative to focus on Bing as a channel. So what I've done here is I've got session source medium across the top, and then I've added landing page and query string, and I can just see, like, clearly whatever landing page that is. Poor Selena, she's used a Google My Business link for a Bing, but clearly, you can find examples of where this landing page is delivering me a lot in terms of conversions, it's delivering me a lot in terms of sales from Bing. So are there some opportunities I can find to improve that and optimize that from a search channel that isn't Google, God forbid. How I've done that? So I've gone for dimensions as session source medium, and I've included landing page. The landing page is the row, and the session source medium is the column. I've gone for sessions and session conversion rate, but again, you can use different metrics if you want to. You can use engagement rate, or if you've got clients who still love and adore bounce rate, you can use bounce rate. And then the filter I've used is session default channel group equals organic search. You can change that up for any kind of channel you want to focus on. You could change that for social media, for example, if you really wanted to see which social media channels work for you. The next one I've got is organic path exploration. So I moved away from freeform here, and I'm going to look at a path exploration, which I think is such a nice user interface compared to Universal Analytics, and really does highlight some things for me. So the segment I've gone for is organic search, which is, and I could also filter based on session default channel group is organic search. And what I've found for my next door neighbour is that if I focus on the Highland cow jewellery section, clearly a big seller for her, just as a point of order, there isn't actually that many Highland cows in Orkney, so I don't know why she sells the range. What I can clearly see is you've got Highland cow jewellery. A lot of people then go to the homepage, and then they go back to Highland cow jewellery. So what's happening there? Maybe you can use a tool like Hotjar to kind of understand where users are going and what they're looking at before they then go to the homepage. But I'm also seeing here, there are people who then go to different sections of the site. So Merry Dancers is what Orcadians call Northern Lights. You've got standing stones. We have a lot of standing stones in the Orkney Islands. And so maybe that's telling me there's a different way to organize her collections. Maybe we need to organize it in a way that highlights things specific to the Orkney Islands or highlight things that are more animal-based. And also, these are both pendants here. And so maybe pendants are really popular. Highland cow pendants are really popular. Is there a way I can show those on the home pages that can kind of cut down on this clicking to and from? So that's the path exploration there. And these are, you can uncover related content and topics with a path exploration. And you can understand the user journey as is compared to what you expect it to be. So with a path exploration, if you start from, I don't know if you've gone into a path exploration, you can start from the end point. So you could start from a conversion event, whether that's purchase, whether that's file download, and work back and understand what's happening for them to get to that conversion point. Is it as you expected, or are they taking a different journey? And if you can find ways to cut down on that journey, then that's really, really good. So that's everything from me, but there is a lot more to be done in terms of GA4 and path exploration. So absolutely, if you have any questions and you want to find more out about explorations or you want to kind of uncover things, then do let me know. Shameless plug, if you follow me on LinkedIn, I've released a GA4 course. One of my last posts was about the course, and there's a 15% off to that course. It's already really cheap anyway, but you get 15% off it. And thank you guys for watching. Much appreciated.